the wonderful world of new adult. We're going to start off with a few books that I read quite a few months ago but forgot to review. First, Jay Cranover has a new series called Saints of Denver. I enjoyed her Marked Men series, and this novella 0.5 of the Saints of Denver series is kind of a crossover book to connect the two series. It is called Leveled, and it's about Orlando, who plays a minor part in the first book of Marked Men, and Dominic Voss, who plays a minor part in one of the last books of Marked Men. But before this book, they had never met. Orlando is a doctor and Dominic is a police officer, but because of things that happened at the beginning of the first series, Orlando has serious issues with dating someone in a dangerous profession. I'm also happy to see my favorite authors including books about same-sex couples in their series, and this was very sweet. I can't wait to read more of this series. Secondly, I need to back up and talk about the sequel to 10 Tiny Breaths by K.A. Tucker. I had liked this original book when I read it, and I have read the sequel now, One Tiny Lie, which is about the little sister from book 1, and she goes off to Princeton and it doesn't go well, and I didn't think this book went all that well either. The book does some interesting gymnastics to portray the male lead as reprehensible in the beginning and then as morally justified in everything he's done by the end. It really just tries a little too hard. It's definitely getting into almost Abby Glines-esque territory, which, don't get me wrong, I can enjoy this when it's done really right, but even Abby Glines doesn't always get this style right. This book was just surreally bad, especially when compared with the first book. Alright, moving on. Last time I made one of these videos, I reviewed book 3 of 10 Tiny Breaths. I really liked it. Probably my favorite of this series. So let's move on and talk about the next book, 5 Ways to Fall. This takes place in a law firm, which is a departure in location for the series. But it's about Ben, who used to be a bouncer at the strip club and who is now a lawyer. And it's also about the best paralegal the firm has, who also happens to be the partner's ex-stepdaughter, and she's just a little bit wild. And this was a decent book. Not as good as book 3, but not as bad as book 2. This was what I'd say is the pleasant read level. Nothing mind-blowing, but nothing off-putting either. Bully by Penelope Douglas. In this one, Jared and Tate were once friends, but now his mission in life seems to be to, well, bully her. She spends a year in Europe, and when she returns, she decides enough is enough. And there were things I enjoyed about this book. I think Penelope Douglas is a good writer. Her dialogue is witty and funny, but there's also things about this book I just can't really get over. There's things that certain supporting characters especially do in this book which are pretty much molestation, and then by the end they get revamped into the quirky best friend. And then the main character Jared, I just don't think Penelope Douglas does a great job at redeeming him in the end. It felt pretty forced. It's like she came up with the concept of him really bullying the girl in the first half, and then she had to dig herself out trying to find a reason that would redeem him. I'm just not sure that she was 100% effective at this. Dirty Rowdy Thing, Book 2 in the Wild Season series by Christina Lauren. I really liked book 1 of this, thought it was sweet. The only note I had for that one is I wish she'd spent more time on the plot and a wee bit less time on the sex scenes. Moving on to book 2 though, this is about the second pair who got married while in Vegas, Harlow and Finn, but unlike the first pair, they'd actually gotten divorced or annulled something of the two immediately after. Fast forward some amount of time and he's trying to save his family's fishing business, but he didn't count on her. And I really like this one as well. And I immediately checked out the third book from the library and was super squee to get to it. That book was Dark Wild Nights by Christina Lauren. This one is about Lola, the comic book author, and Oliver, the comic book store owner. And as I said, I was super excited about this geeky romance, and it started out really well. But it felt like this book was kind of missing a complete ending. I never felt like the conflict was satisfactorily resolved. I felt unsettled a little bit at the end of this book, like I was left unfinished, not just the book. It's like when someone stops talking in the middle of a sentence and then forgets to finish it, and your brain is waiting for the completion, and it drives you insane because you don't have that mental ending. Or is that just me? Anyway, that's what this book felt like. Okay, so what books have you read that felt incomplete, and how did that make you feel? And what other new adult books should I be adding into my rotation?